This is New Amsterdam Vape, and in this video, I'll review the Serpent Alto RTA. The Serpent Alto RTA is very similar to the Serpent Mini RTA, but with a different design on the building deck as well as a single airflow slot on the tank, instead of the two airflow slots which are featured on almost every tank on the market. This allows for a more restricted draw, which can be a mouth-to-lung draw with the airflow closed down. The Serpent Alto is 22 millimeters in diameter, with a height of 30 millimeters from the base of the deck to the top cap. With the Delrin drip tip, the height is 38 millimeters from the base of the deck to the top of the drip tip. The Serpent Alto has a liquid capacity of 2.5 milliliters, which is less than the Serpent Mini. The tank breaks down into the deck, the glass chamber around the deck, the chimney, the top piece, and the Delrin drip tip. Included in the box is a spare glass, screwdriver with spare screws, a sheet of organic cotton, 2.35 ohm twisted coils, and several spare O-rings. Looking at the Serpent Alto up close, it's an extremely small tank and it's one of the smallest RTAs I've ever used. The adjustable airflow ring on the bottom has a stopper that stops the ring from spinning freely. The ring is a little tight, so it makes it difficult to spin around. The gold-plated pin on the 510 connector is adjustable, but I would keep this away from hybrid mechanical mods anyway. I've tried this on a few different devices and I haven't had to adjust the pin to make a connection. There's a series of blades on the top piece which try to act as a heat sink below the drip tip. The Delrin drip tip is a bit loose and it comes out too easily for me. This can be swapped out for any other 510 drip tip. The top cap is a pain to try to remove. Unlike the Serpent Mini, it's harder to get a grip on the top cap to properly remove it, and the drip tip is too loose to help give some leverage. Once the top cap comes off, there's two very large liquid filling slots along the top. The chimney screws off from the deck easily enough, and the glass chamber is kept in place with two O-rings along the top of the chimney. Looking at the deck up close, it's very different than the Serpent Mini deck. I like this design, since it makes it easier for the leads on the coil to be kept in place in the posts. There's two airflow holes which are each 2 millimeters in diameter that feed air to the bottom of the coil, as well as another smaller air hole between the posts that adds a little extra air to the back of the coil. The wicking slots are nice and large on this deck, giving plenty of room for your cotton wicks. Building on the Serpent Alto is very simple since both posts are on the same side. On the Serpent Mini, you had to catch the leads under the screws on the post, but these posts are just traditional posts with post holes that use hex scrub screws. The screws are fine, but they can be stripped easily enough. Push both leads of the pre-built twisted coil into the post holes and tighten down the posts. I use the screwdriver to help pull and fix the coil into place. When the screws are tight enough, wiggle the leads around in a circular motion to detach them from the posts. After a quick test fire, use a screwdriver to pull the coil into place and help it keep a round shape. A few more test fires and the coil is glowing nicely from the middle out. With the cotton sheet provided, cut a piece that's about 4 to 5 millimeters in diameter. Twist the cotton nice and tight so it can fit into the coil. I like using tweezers to help catch the cotton and pull it through the coil. Pull the cotton back and forth, finding a nice snug spot that's not too loose or too tight. I'll trim the wicks and leave them a little bit long. I find it's better to have them too long and work my way down instead of cutting too short. Gently prime the wicks with liquid and give it a moment to fully absorb the liquid. Trim off a bit of the extra wick and start placing the wicks into the wicking slots. The wicks are easier to work with when they're fully saturated with liquid. When the slots are stuffed with the wicks, add some liquid and start doing a few pulse fires to prime the coil and the wicks. Watch the absorption of the liquid around the wicks as you pulse fire. If it's drawing liquid up from the ends of the wicks to the coil, then you're looking good. Screw the chimney onto the deck so you can fill the tank with liquid. Remove the top cap and start filling the tank with liquid through the top filling slots. Both slots are nice and wide, so filling with liquid is a breeze. The tank is very small, so it'll fill quickly. When the tank is full, screw the top cap back on and let the tank sit for a few minutes before vaping. The twisted coil read around 0.35 ohms and I tested between 15 to 35 watts. I liked it best between 20 to 25 watts. With a tank like this, I prefer my coils around 0.5 ohms, so I can go up to 30 to 35 watts, but I kept this coil a little bit lower. The most noticeable thing about this tank is the airflow. It is much more restricted than any tank I've used. Some people may not like a restricted draw, but I found I liked it quite a bit, and it got some good flavor from this tank. This small single coil tank is designed for restricted and flavorful draws, and I find it really does its job well. One thing I did notice about this tank is it gets very hot when chain vaping. Since the tank is so small, the heat gets up to the drip tip very quickly. Moving on to the pros and cons. As a pro, this is a compact RTA that is ideal for travel and outdoor use. I paired up the Serpent Alto with my Target Mini and took it out for the day. This has got to be one of the smallest combinations I've ever used, and I barely noticed it in my pocket. This is perfect for anyone looking for a compact tank. The restricted airflow allows for better flavor with an almost mouth-to-lung draw. You can still get a direct lung draw with the airflow wide open, but it's much less than any tank with 2 airflow slots. I really believe a single coil restricted airflow is the best combination for flavor, and this tank does well in that aspect. The price is another pro. You can get the Serpent Alto for around $30 depending on what color you choose, which is a good price for a compact, rebuildable tank. Remember, you can get 15% off at heavengifts.com with the coupon code ANEWAMSTERDAM. Moving on to the cons. My biggest con is the design of the top cap. It can be difficult to remove and can even unscrew the chimney from the deck if you're not careful. Looking at the Serpent Alto and the Serpent Mini side by side, the Mini has a higher profile on the top cap, which helps give leverage to remove, while the Alto does not. I really wish the Alto had the Mini's cap. Just out of curiosity, I tried to put the Serpent Mini cap onto the Alto, and while it did screw in, it wasn't completely flush, and it could easily leak out liquid. While having a compact tank can be a pro for a lot of people, the liquid capacity is a big con for most. The liquid capacity is just 2.5 milliliters, and you can go through that very quickly with the coils included in the kit. I can finish this tank in less than 20 minutes just sitting at my desk, so I have to refill it constantly. It does a little bit better when I'm out and about, but I still have to refill it. Since the Alto is so small, the heat travels to the drip tip very easily. The entire top cap gets warm very quickly, and the heat sink fins don't do much to help dissipate this heat. Definitely let the tank cool off between pulls. Overall, I do really like the Serpent Alto. The redesigned deck is much better than the Serpent Mini, and the single airflow definitely gives much better flavor, but the design of the top cap leaves much to be desired. If they had the top cap of the Serpent Mini with the deck of the Alto, and maybe just a little extra room for liquid, this would be a perfect compact tank. This is New Amsterdam Vape, and if you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe.